Okay, let's dive right into this incredibly tense geopolitical situation currently unfolding in the Middle East. Welcome to this explainer. We're going to rely entirely on the latest reports and data to understand the sudden, highly volatile escalation between the United States and Iran. You know that uneasy peace the whole world was watching? Well, it's completely fractured. We are going to systematically unpack the timeline, the targets, and the staggering global stakes, relying strictly on exactly what the source materials are telling us. As the recent reports starkly outline, the truce has totally collapsed, plunging the region right back into chaos. Just look at this quote. The ceasefire is over, the silence has been shattered. That phrase alone really sets the tone for everything we are about to cover today. It leaves us to impartially unpack exactly how we got here, setting aside the politics to look purely at the tactical claims and counterclaims being made by both sides of this conflict. So here is how we'll break this down. First, the ceasefire shatters. Second, Iran targets U.S. bases. Third, the oil tanker catalyst. Fourth, America's retaliatory strikes. And fifth, on the edge of war. All right, let's get into Section 1, the ceasefire shatters. We really need to look at the immediate fallout and the highly contradictory narratives coming from Washington and Tehran regarding the June 18th Memorandum of Understanding. You might hear it called the Islamabad Agreement. It's a classic case of completely opposed realities. On one side, Iran's foreign ministry strongly condemns the U.S., accusing American forces of savage airstrikes on coastal facilities and breaching the agreement. But on the flip side, the United States insists with equal firmness that Iran actually broke the truce first with an unprovoked attack on commercial shipping. Two totally different stories leading to a massive military escalation. Moving on to Section 2, Iran targets U.S. bases. What's really remarkable about this retaliation is the sheer scale and precision of it. Officially named Operation True Promise 4, Iranian sources state this joint missile and drone operation was launched by the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps right between 2 and 3 in the morning on Sunday, June 28th. And what makes this so significant is that it wasn't just some random barrage. The reports indicate it specifically targeted the vast network of logistical hubs, air defenses, and naval facilities that Washington has spent decades building up across the Persian Gulf. When you look at open-source intelligence and satellite imagery, a highly calculated tactical strategy starts unfolding. At Camp Buhering in Kuwait, which is an essential ground force staging base, there is a heavily scorched electrical substation and destroyed transformer banks. Over at Ali Al Salem Air Base, another major logistics hub in Kuwait, imagery shows massive damage to hangars and critical radar installations. Down in Bahrain at Issa Air Base, which houses the U.S. Fifth Fleet, the strikes didn't level the base. They specifically hit the northern maintenance and operational zones. And perhaps most notably, at Al Dhafra in the UAE, strikes reportedly destroyed the American Air Warfare Center. So the key takeaway here is how Iranian forces reportedly concentrated their strikes on critical command, control, and support structures. It was designed to disable and decapitate operational function rather than attempting catastrophic destruction of the entire bases. But beyond just the structural damage, the financial and strategic loss is incredibly high, which brings us to this absolutely staggering number, $1.1 billion. That $1.1 billion, that's the estimated monetary cost of just a single piece of equipment reportedly destroyed at the Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar. It's the AN/FPS-132 upgraded early warning radar. Taking out this specific UHF phased array radar is a massive tactical blow. See, this system is designed to detect and continuously track ballistic missiles at extremely long ranges. By taking it off the board, it temporarily blinds a major component of the U.S. military's early warning capabilities in the region. That is a huge deal. Okay, Section 3, the oil tanker catalyst. According to the U.S. military, this rapid escalation involving the Strait of Hormuz is basically a chain reaction that started entirely with an unprovoked attack on commercial shipping. From Washington's perspective, Step 1 was an alleged Iranian drone attack on a tanker called the Cuckoo. Step 2 was the U.S. responding by striking Iranian coastal posts, which, remember, are the very strikes Iran claimed broke the June 18th agreement. And Step 3 was that massive Iranian ballistic missile retaliation on U.S. bases we just analyzed. Let's zoom in on that initial catalyst, the Kiku incident. The reports tell us the Kiku is a Panama-flagged oil tanker. U.S. Central Command alleges it was targeted by an Iranian one-way attack drone right near the incredibly strategic Strait of Hormuz. When asked about this, President Donald Trump noted that 4 shots were taken at what he called a very expensive ship. And while the U.S. managed to intercept and knock down 3 of the projectiles, he stated the vessel still took a little beating. From the U.S. point of view, this was the unacceptable aggression that forced their hand. Next up, Section 4, America's retaliatory strikes. Let's examine the exact American military response to that alleged tanker incident, a response that Iran fiercely condemned. U.S. Central Command confirmed a fresh wave of fighter jet strikes hitting a series of strategic locations along the Iranian coastline. We're talking surveillance infrastructure, communication systems, air defense positions, drone storage facilities, missile depots, and coastal radar sites. The stated goal here was to effectively neutralize the perceived threat emanating from the Iranian coast, specifically to protect international shipping lanes. But what happens next when reporters press the president on whether the United States will respond further to the massive Iranian strikes on U.S. bases? His answer was brief but absolutely loaded. He said, "Well, you'll find out. You're going to find out, sir." The rhetoric coming from Washington remains remarkably intense and deliberately ambiguous, which leaves the door wide open for further, perhaps unprecedented, military escalation. In fact, taking to social media, the U.S. president issued a stark warning. He declared that if Tehran continued its actions, Washington could be forced to militarily complete the job. The report suggests this phrasing implies that the Islamic Republic itself could cease to exist. This fiery message explicitly lays out the sheer existential stakes currently on the table between these two powers. We aren't talking about limited, proportional responses anymore. The rhetoric is shifted to ultimate survival. Which brings us to Section 5, on the edge of war. So you might be wondering, why does this highly localized exchange of fire matter to absolutely everyone watching? Why should a citizen on the other side of the globe care about coastal radars and desert bases? Well, because a staggering 20% of the entire world's oil supply passes directly through this contested waterway, the Strait of Hormuz. It is literally one of the most critical maritime choke points on Earth. If the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Navy confronts ships, or if the U.S. military continues launching airstrikes in this corridor, the safe passage of millions of barrels of oil just halts. Any sustained conflict here instantly creates a severe global economic ripple effect, skyrocketing energy prices, and threatening global supply chains for all of us. Thank you for joining this explainer. With the June 18th Islamabad agreement totally shattered, billion-dollar military assets lying in ruins, and a massive chunk of the global economy caught directly in the crossfire, the world is collectively holding its breath. Both Washington and Tehran are claiming self-defense while warning of catastrophic retaliation. So we're left to ponder, what happens if the next strike isn't just a targeted response, but an irreversible escalation into a much larger war?